Hello there, my friends, and welcome to Spiritcraft, a podcast to nurture your soul and unleash the magic within. I'm Marta, and today we will talk about limiting beliefs and personal strengths. But before we get started, thank you to everyone who has been listening to my ramblings and messaged me with feedback. I do appreciate it so much, and I want to mention, last week the episode had a bit of a mix of sound quality, so apologies for that. Thanks for mentioning. And I'm hoping the quality will get better and better the more I do this, or if I can ever use a recording studio, maybe. If this is your first time here, you might wonder who I am and why I talk about spirituality and well-being on a podcast. And yes, question everyone and their credentials. That's a good practice, especially in this field. When I say credentials, doesn't necessarily mean certificates or diplomas, but someone who has experience, who is trustworthy, and someone that you can actually believe they're going to do the work with you. I have worked in the wellness industry for many years. I am a personal trainer, meditation guy, a Reiki master, and a spiritual life coach. I am also a tarot reader, so I have interacted with many people about their problems and helped them find their own solutions. As a personal trainer, I've always worked to ensure that my clients could fend for themselves. I always explained the reasons behind their programs and gave them the tools to succeed without me. All my life, I've been the person that strangers tell their life stories to while waiting for the bus, which has made me realize a few things. One, that many people are lonely and they need someone they can talk to who doesn't know everyone involved, so won't necessarily take sides. And sometimes it's easier to open up to a stranger than to a friend. Two, people know the answer to their questions deep down, and often they either need to vent and think out loud, or maybe they need someone to guide them towards their inner wisdom. And three, I am able to see people, and I genuinely want you to succeed and find peace and joy. And those around me can feel that I am a safe place and that I will listen with an open heart. And this has happened to me over and over again in all my careers, in many of my friendships. And the truth is that it's my calling to help others in their journey by helping them shine a light on their path. During the pandemic, I officially became a life coach and started working on blending all my knowledge and skills, fitness, health, well-being, and spirituality to become the spiritual life coach that I am today. Okay, so maybe that was a long introduction, but I feel it's always important to know who's sharing information with you and what their background is. And I'm always happy to share. So, go ahead and ask any questions that you might have. But guess what? All of this is actually linked with today's topic of celebrating our strengths and overcoming our limiting beliefs. Many of us will shy away from whatever the expression is, tooting our own horn, to the point that we even go the opposite way. And so recognizing and celebrating our wins and our strengths is key to personal development. And as you can imagine, overcoming our limiting beliefs is equally important. So let's start with personal strengths and define what they are. Personal strengths are qualities that people have and things that we can do well. They can be skills or actions. Things like honesty, generosity, creativity, or curiosity are all personal strengths. If you're unsure about what these strengths are, I want you to think of a person you know and admire, but don't think of a celebrity or a historical figure. Let's get closer. I want you to think of a friend or a family member and make a list of the qualities they have that you admire. And I'm even going to give you a moment to think about it. You can write it down if you have pen and paper, or do it on your phone's app, or have it very clear in your mind. But just take a moment and go ahead, make a list of all these qualities that you admire in them. Hopefully you should have come up with a list of qualities by now. Typically, we admire others that have the qualities that we aspire to have and qualities that we deem desirable. Loyalty, perseverance, honesty, generosity, bravery, humor, creativity, being good at making things, whatever it is, those qualities are their personal strengths. And I'm going to go ahead and say that you might wish you were more like this person. You probably have thought more like, dang, I wish I had so-and-so's ability to do whatever. You know what? I'm also going to go ahead and say that this person has had similar thoughts about you too. You know what's coming next. I want you to think about your personal strengths, those skills and qualities that you admire and that you are proud of, and even consider desirable in others. And after you stop feeling uncomfortable and maybe rolling your eyes, just get started. You don't have to enjoy this task, but I still want you to do it. So I'm going to give you another moment. How did that feel? Cringy, right? How many qualities did you come up with? How many qualities did you come up in your list for your friend or your family member? I'm guessing your list is a little bit shorter than theirs. As you can imagine, recognizing and celebrating personal strengths is essential for self-confidence and personal growth. If you've ever tried doing any task where you've only received negative feedback, then you'll know how discouraging it is and how it makes you feel like giving up. Because many of us were raised to be humble and not to brag, we struggle to identify our own personal strengths. But there's a difference between bragging and owning your successes. With some effort and gritted teeth, you might have come up with a list of personal strengths. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes if you need help naming those strengths with a list of some examples. One of the best ways to identify strengths is to ask for feedback from others. Just as you found it easy to praise your friend or family member, they will have a long list of things that they admire in you. You might feel awkward asking them, and that's normal, but you can do it as a mutual exercise. If you would rather not ask others what they admire about you, you can use self-reflection. Journaling is a great tool for understanding yourself better, as we've mentioned in a previous episode, and it's going to help you discover skills that you might not even be aware of. If you're not sure how to get started, you can journal each day on the prompt, what is one thing I am good at? Or even something like, what was one thing I did well today? From there, you can try to find out what qualities you have that allowed you to do that job well. Are you organized? Are you a good listener? Maybe you're great at reading the room and mediating between people. And then finally, you can figure out your strengths. Another way of figuring out your strengths is through personality tests and quizzes. But bear in mind that some of these tests, you have to pay for them. And your answers might vary as well, depending on how you're feeling when you're taking that test or the kind of day you had. Whenever I've taken a personality test, for example, I've always been a mediator, a creative person, and someone who helps and inspires others. Some of my strengths are being adaptable, communicative, considerate, creative, curious, empathetic, open-minded, outspoken, honest. So you get the idea. Okay, you now have a list of strengths. So how do we celebrate those strengths? Well, by keeping track of them. When you do something well, pause for a moment to acknowledge that you did a good job before rushing to the next item on your to-do list. When someone compliments you, try not to dismiss it with excuses or minimize its importance. Say thank you and pat yourself on the back. I know it might feel weird and uncomfortable, but it will get better. A great way of keeping track of your achievements and the strengths related to them is by writing them down in a strengths journal. Here you can regularly write down your achievements, the strengths you use to accomplish them, and reflect on the positive feedback that you receive from others. You can also share your successes and achievements with friends, family, colleagues, and celebrate those milestones with loved ones by having a small gathering or maybe even a virtual meeting. How about creating a visual reminder? You can make a vision board with images and words that represent your strengths, or you can display certificates, awards, or any form of recognition in a place that you can see daily. Another way to celebrate these strengths is to practice affirmations. So start your day with affirmations that highlight your strengths and practice gratitude by acknowledging the skills and abilities that you're thankful for. You can also engage in activities that highlight those strengths. It's a great way to celebrate them and to develop them. You can take part in hobbies or projects or volunteer for roles or tasks that align with said strengths. You always should ask for constructive feedback that focuses on your strengths and how you can enhance them, or maybe find a mentor who can help you recognize and develop these strengths further. You can also teach or mentor others. This way you can share your knowledge and skills with others, which is going to reinforce their strengths, and help others grow. For example, like me, you can start a blog or a podcast, YouTube channel, and share your experiences and expertise. But of course, no celebration is complete without a reward. But remember, and here's the personal trainer talking, you are not a dog, so don't reward yourself with food. You can reward yourself for completing tasks that utilize your strengths, such as a new book, a leisure time, or regular self-care activities. And it's important to reflect on your strengths and how you have used them, and make plans to use those strengths in new and exciting ways in the future. This is all very interesting, but there are certain things that are going to get in the way of us celebrating and recognizing those strengths. And that is something that we call self-limiting beliefs. And these limiting beliefs can be significant barriers to goal achievement. Here's a quote by Tony Robbins. So he says, limiting beliefs are ideas that we hold about ourselves and the world that prevents us from becoming the best version of ourselves. They hold us back in a variety of ways, making us feel like we don't deserve success, that we're not as good as others, and that the world is against us. So have you ever thought that you're not good enough, or that you cannot do XYZ, that you have nothing interesting to say, or any other similar thought? Well, welcome to the Self-Limiting Believers Club. I don't know about you, but I have had those kind of thoughts, and it's something that we all have, and it just happens, okay? But when we repeat these thoughts to ourselves, we subconsciously start to believe them, and this tampers with our ability to improve and to grow. And there might already be many people out there putting obstacles in your path to success, so please don't be one of them. Self-limiting beliefs tend to be unconscious and automatic. They usually stem from our society, our upbringing, or even past failures. And these beliefs stop us from achieving our goals before we have even started. Some examples are things like, I'm not good enough, I don't have time or resources, I always fail at this, or my favorite one, I can't do this because I'm a woman. So I always say that we cannot change what we don't know about. The first step to overcoming these limiting beliefs is to be able to identify them, which is easier said than done. I know that. And also because I just said that they tend to be unconscious and automatic. So guess what is one of the best methods to help you identify your limiting beliefs? Well, if you said journaling, congratulations, you got it right, and you can add being wise and smart to your list of personal strengths. Yes, journaling about your thoughts and your feelings can help you uncover repeating patterns and thoughts that show up and put you down. You can go through your day mentally and pinpoint the moments where you felt you weren't up to the challenge, or the things that didn't work out exactly how you wanted, and how that made you feel, or which reaction you had. Of course, don't forget the usual, oh my God, you're so stupid, that we all tell ourselves whenever we make an insignificant mistake. You can also ask for feedback from people you trust, but the key here is not to get roasted by your group of friends, but to have an open conversation with someone. You should let them know that you're working on your confidence and your personal growth, and that you would like their help. Then you should reflect on how these beliefs might be affecting your behavior negatively. You might be behaving defensively, or you might be trying to cause conflict, or anything else. Once we are aware of our self-limiting beliefs and how we behave when they're triggered, we can then keep an eye out for them the next time they happen. The more we explore and work on identifying those beliefs, the better prepared we will be the next time they show up. So, we have now identified those limiting beliefs. It's time to smash them to pieces now. The first thing that we must do is challenge those beliefs and reframe them. Now, I want to add a caveat here. Working on challenging our limiting beliefs sometimes requires a deep dive into the situations that trigger us. Journaling about the negative things that we do might also trigger certain feelings or emotions, so self-care is extremely important. If you ever feel like things become too much, or you're focusing on the negative aspects of your life, or simply you aren't sure what to do next, seek the help of a professional. Working on your limiting beliefs can lead you to deep shadow work, and that's no laughing matter. And as a spiritual coach, I can help you on that journey and guide you in your next steps, of course, but sometimes we might need the help of a counselor or a therapist, and that's okay. Our fields of expertise aren't mutually exclusive, but we can actually work together to help you reach your full potential. So let's go back to this, challenging and reframing limiting beliefs. How do we go about that? Well, the first thing is to realize that these beliefs lie to you. And I assure you, they are not true. The thing is, you're probably now using confirmation bias to cement your own version of the truth. We all do it. Once we believe something, we focus on the data that supports our beliefs and dismiss anything that contradicts them. It is important to analyze the different instances in which these beliefs have been revealed and consider the times when they've been incorrect. Facing these self-limiting beliefs with facts that disagree with them will help us start dismantling them and start seeing ourselves in a kinder light. I'm not going to lie to you. Even with the best intentions and great discipline, all patterns will reappear from time to time. So yes, this is going to be difficult and it's going to take time, maybe even a lifetime. Because after all, you've been believing this stuff for many years and behaving accordingly. So you're not going to change it overnight. And because they're automatic unconscious thoughts and beliefs, sometimes you might not even notice them happening until much, much later. But that's okay. Progress, not perfection. In my goal achievement course, I share a trick for reframing those limiting beliefs, which I will share with you now. So you know that voice in your head that is that constant critic, that narrator of your life that always finds fault. Give it a name, seriously. And if it's a ridiculous name or a name you don't like, even better. So, for example, whenever a mean thought crosses your mind, saying something like, you forgot the house keys and now you're locked out, you're so stupid. Trust me, nothing feels better than to say, shut up, Fred. By the way, this is no shade to any Freds potentially listening. It's just a name that I always think of when I'm naming something. For every single limiting belief that you manage to catch in the moment, correct it by telling yourself the opposite. So, for the example earlier, you forgot your house keys and now you're locked out, you're so stupid. Tell Fred to shut up. And they say something like, no, I was just not paying attention and I forgot. It just happens sometimes, especially when you're tired. I am very smart. I was just distracted. And I know it might feel awkward and a pain and whatever. I know that. But you have to trust me. The more you do this kind of thing, the more automatic it will start to happen. What this helps us with is to develop a positive mindset. And developing this positive mindset can feel daunting at first, but it is an active choice that we must make daily. We cannot control the things that happen to us, but we can control how we think about them. We all have a knee-jerk reaction to situations. It's unavoidable. We are not trying to bypass negative emotions here because they also have a place in our lives. However, we have to try not to let them influence our day and mindset. For example, imagine you're rushing to get to work and you stop at a coffee shop to get a coffee. As you arrive at your office, someone bumps into you and your cup flies, spilling all over the floor. And now you're annoyed because not only did you spend money on a coffee, but now you're without caffeine and maybe you even spilled some on your clothes. What am I saying? Annoyed? No, you're fuming. So that initial reaction is normal. But what happens next might be very different if you're practicing having a positive mindset. Past you, so that's before you started working on your personal growth and listening to this podcast and reading my blog, that past you would have maybe cursed at the other person, shouted at them to watch where they're going, maybe been in a foul mood for the rest of the day. Like, don't talk to me, I haven't had any coffee yet. I hate Mondays and I should have stayed in bed, kind of thing. But now, present you know better. You catch yourself and you realize that accidents happen. You're still annoyed because you really needed that coffee, obviously, but there isn't much you can do about it now. So maybe you allow yourself a moment to feel your emotions, anger, annoyance, disappointment. Then take a deep breath and move on. You might pick up the cup, throw it in a bin, and just get to the office. Maybe you sit down and check your emails, and then you let your team know what's happened and tell them you're now going to get another coffee. And maybe you ask them if they want something too. And now this time, you take your time to stroll to the coffee shop, to take a moment to enjoy that first sip of coffee, the aroma, when you bring the cup to your lips, you are present in that moment. When you get back, the team is happy because you brought them their order, and maybe you decide to laugh about the whole incident together. I don't know, I'm just making this up as I go, but you get the idea. For a positive mindset, it definitely helps to surround yourself with positive influences. If everyone around you is always negative and criticizing others and only seeing the bad qualities in people and situations, it's going to be very hard for you to get out of that mindset. So try to surround yourself with people who have a positive outlook and who see opportunities, not obstacles. Surround yourself with people who lift each other up, with people who you admire and who are trying to be better. And you'll see that soon you will feel like that's the norm, and that change will also feel easier. The most important thing to remember is that working on your personal strengths and self-limiting beliefs is a process with wins and failures. So self-care will be important. Now, I don't know what self-care means to you. To me, it means digging my hands in the soil when gardening or repotting my plants. It means cooking, reading, walking my dog in the woodlands, or even having a nice bath. Maybe self-care to you is something different. But be careful. Please don't confuse self-care with indulgence or bad habits. Self-care is meant to make you feel better physically and mentally, to uplift your spirit and relax your body, as in, lowering the stress and so on. Okay, we're almost there. I want to share a couple of affirmations that you are welcome to use if you're having trouble coming up with your own. These affirmations can be something like, I am enough. I am doing a great job. I am working to achieve my goals and dreams, and I am doing great already. As you can see, all these affirmations, they are positive. They are highlighting your strength or your hopes. They are validating you. So I want you to have a try and write a couple of affirmations that you can say every day, several times a day if you can. And once you do that, you can work on visualizing the outcomes of your work. I will talk about visualization in Saturday's blog post, so keep an eye out for that. Today, we delved into the importance of recognizing and celebrating our personal strengths while also tackling the self-limiting beliefs that hold us back. We've discussed personal strengths, how to identify them, and practical ways to celebrate them. We've also explored common limiting beliefs, how to identify them, and some strategies to overcome them. Now, I encourage you to take some time this week to reflect on your personal strengths. Start a strengths journal, ask for feedback from trusted friends or family, and try some of the activities we've discussed to celebrate your strengths. Additionally, I want you to watch out for limiting beliefs that might be creeping into your thoughts. Challenge and reframe them using the techniques we've talked about. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Spiritcraft. Remember, celebrating your strengths and overcoming limiting beliefs is a journey, and it's okay to take it one step at a time. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend who might benefit from it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. It really helps to get the word out and support our community. Stay tuned for Saturday's blog post, where I will explore the power of visualization and how it can help you achieve your goals. And as always, I'm here to support you on your journey. So if you have any questions or need any guidance, feel free to reach out to me via social media or my website. Remember, you can always contact me at podcast@spanishbruja.com, and that will be on the show notes. Until next time, keep shining and nurturing your soul. Remember, I'm Marta, and this has been Spiritcraft. Take care and have a wonderful week.